Hey everybody, Nick here with a new project for the afternoon. Today we installed Dominator Industry 12-inch plug-and-play Meathook Apes on a 2019 CVO RoadGlide. It's not a difficult project, it's something everyone can do, because if I can do it, you can do it too. Well, the first step is to properly remove the great big 50 amp fuse that Harleys have, the main fuse. So to prevent any fault codes from happening when we put this thing all back together, because this has a security system with alarm, there's a right way and a wrong way, and we should do it the right way. So I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to loosen this bag off just a touch. Get the side cover off. And there we go. So there's our target, is that 50 amp fuse. But in order to do this properly, we should have the key close by, and we should turn the bike into the on position so that the security system is disarmed. So now we know that the security system is disarmed. We'll pull this fuse out. And no alarm goes. That's a win. Before I forget, I'm just going to shut this off. All right, so let's begin. First thing that's got to come off is this gauge cluster, which is a couple of screws. They're T25s on either side. And this has to come off, this little horseshoe ring around the steering column lock. And that just comes off with a little bit of a pick. So we'll pull this off and pull these two screws out and see where we are. Set the bike and find a little slot right down here. It's a little tight, but it comes right off. Let me show you what we're looking at. So it's just a little nib that shoves down, and you use your screwdriver to push in on it and pry up on this, and then slide it right out. That little horseshoe ring comes right off. Now for the bolts. T25. Nothing to that. Get a little parts tray. So I don't lose the screws. And 2 screws are off. Now before I go any further, I'm going to cover that tank, straighten out the steering wheel, or the steering, if I can. Leave it there, and I put some covers on this tank because I want to pull this off and I don't want to take a chance of screwing anything up. Let me bring you in here and show you what I'm talking about. So this just slides right off, and it'll slide over this steering column lock. And what we got to do is disconnect 3 harnesses. That big one there, and then 2 on the switch things. And apparently this one's tougher to do, so we'll see. Maybe we can just hang this over if there's enough lead there. Probably going to get in your way, but I'm going to go in with my small little pick screwdriver. Yeah, that one is tough. I wonder if we could just leave it like that. I think we can. See, the problem is that the little clasp on this side is on top, but on that side it's on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. In fact, you can't get your fingers in there. So there's two options. I could unscrew those things. They look to be two T25s and pull the whole switch housing out. Or I could just leave it because it's really not in the way of anything. So why don't we do that? Let's just leave it. We'll get some nice towels. We'll and that should do it. So our project now is to get rid of all these zip ties, extend these wires out, and we're going to unplug these three clips here, plus we've got the throttle by wire sensor or plug to unplug as well. So let's see if we can get that done.
So you can see what I'm about to do. I made this little drawing because it's much clearer. As you can see, the left side switches have one plug on them. The right side switches have two plugs on them. And the right side also has the throttle by wire, obviously. So I highly recommend using a little small pick or a little small screwdriver to depress those little tabs and help you pry those things out without damaging anything. Anyway, that's what I'm about to show you in the next video clip.
So I know it's a bit of a mess, but it's really simple actually. This one here is the throttle by wire. And if you just use a little pick screwdriver like this and go in on the clip, the clip's on the side, on that one, you go in on the clip and it comes out really easy. I'm being very careful and I'm using a pick to pull these wires out. So with all the wiring disconnected, it's time to start on the hand controls. So we're going to start on the right side, the throttle side first, because there's something on the left side of the bike that we have to concern ourselves with, and I don't want to worry about it right now. So let's start over there, shall we? What I've got is a couple of things you'll need. If you don't have any Crown Royal bags, I'm using some soft cloths and some garbage bags and some masking tape. But to get started, we need a T27, sorry. We got to take off this clutch, brake master cylinder. So on this, it is a T25. So on this 2019 CVO, these are, I'm just going to crack these loose and put my hand on it so nothing falls off and onto the tank. Let this rest on the tank like that. And then just for extra safety precaution, I just tape it to the cover. Well, that ain't going nowhere. Yeah, it's good. All right, so now we'll take the rest of this off. Again, these are all T25s. So So that's very easy, nothing to it. Now the grip should just come right off, and it does. And like that, that side of the bike is done. What I'm going to attempt to do is remove this, the little odometer reset switch. So you it clicks up, and then apparently just pulls off. And it does. Oh, that's very easy. Okay, so all you need to do is tip it up, it clicks, and then stick your screwdriver in, just give it a little pressure and it just comes off. Simple. Nothing to it. I was worried about that. All right, and then the process is the same. Well, because I learned my lesson on the first one, I'll remove the switch housing first. Well, if miracles will never cease, Harley redesigned something. So remember I said that this cluster was going to be hard to get out because on this one side, on the right side of the bike, that switch housing douche connector, if that's what they call it, it was opposite of that. The tab is on the top of that one. And I assumed it was on the bottom of this one, but it's not, it's on the side. So it is easy to get at. So I've removed this now just to get it out of the way. It's one less thing on top of the tank. So you can see now the whole thing, the whole cluster's gone. I'm happy about that. Now with everything out of the way, you can see all that's left. All the wires are disconnected. The switches are taken off. All that's left to do is to remove those 4 Allen head, 1/4 inch Allen head clamp screws and remove the handlebar. I'm going to do that being very careful not to allow the handlebars to swing once they get loose and, you know, potentially hit the tank, even though the tank's protected. Just always over in an abundance of caution. That's the way I roll. So what we're installing are 12-inch Dominator Industries Meathook Apes plug and play. Plug and play means not just pre-wired, but it also has an OEM Harley-Davidson throttle-by-wire control wired into it already. It even has a steel wire in there too, so that you could drag a wire for heated grips, which I don't have and don't really want. But you can see the difference between the two handlebars and the reason why we switched. Those wheelbarrow handlebars that come on the bike, they're uncomfortable for me, very fatiguing after about a half an hour because my wrists are turned in, like you're carrying, using a wheelbarrow. And these are considerably better angle, almost, perpendicular to the road. They are 12-inch, which requires no additional, no problems with the hydraulic cables. And, I'd say that those are probably 8 or 9 inches. So those are maybe 3 inches taller, which is fine because I don't need 14s, 18s. I'm not a lifestyle rider. But they're all pre-wired and they should just plug and play. So it's just a matter of now reversing the process. So it was just very simple. So far, the handlebars are just, those 1/4 inch screws are just in snug, just to hold them up, because I've got to do a lot of adjustments. Now, some of you are going to probably debate whether I should have built these, put the switches and everything on outside, like off the bike and installed them with the switches on. I just am more comfortable doing everything one side at a time completely and getting it done. So there is a pin. Here's something you should know. Underneath the handlebars, and in the bottom clamp, you'll see a pin sticking up. And it's just off to the center. I've seen many times either people hammer them down or pull them out. So because the aftermarket handlebars don't always have a hole like the Harley bar does for that pin. And it's just a pin to keep the handlebar from swinging forward or back too far. Well, son of a gun, if these Dominators don't have a slot that actually helps you center the bars using that pin. So in that regard, nice design, Dominator. Next step is to start reinstalling the switches and plugging in the wires. And just like that, all the wires click right in. They're exactly the same. You just click them in. There's two on the driver's side, on the right side, one on the left side, plus coming from the driver's side is the throttle by wire. And just plug them in, and that wiring is done. Like many aftermarket handlebars, they don't have a hole in them, you know, up by the brake or the clutch for this half of the clamshell. So that little pin is in a Harley bar goes right into and that centers it. But because you're going to be adjusting things, they don't put a hole. You have to grind this little tit off. And so we're going to do that to both sides now, so that it looks like this. Nothing to it. Just taped it up a little bit before I did the grinding. Well, I must tell you that in order to get the clutch cable to reach, there it is, all reassembled again. And it looks very good. There's no question that it reaches. But in order to get it to reach, you have to lift it off the base of the triple tree. It's down below the handlebar, and there's zip ties that hold it there. And there's a clamp down on the side of this right side that holds it in place. And in order to get the extra couple inches that you need, you must absolutely replace, I'm just trying to get this sticker off. You must absolutely disconnect all of those zip ties and things, or your clutch line won't reach. In fact, I probably still have another inch, half inch, a little bit I could pull out of here. But I've turned it lock to lock, and it's not moving or binding, so there's plenty. It's just enough for 12 inch. If these were 14, not a chance. You'd have to extend this clutch line for sure. So there you have it. That's for sure. This side is done, and now we're going to work on the driver's side, which hopefully goes a little bit easier. You know, because I've done the same thing with the brake cable, disconnected it, and I think it's a little longer anyway. All right, well, that took about 20 minutes to get it the way I wanted it. And everybody's got their own preference, and I believe I got the angle the way I want it, so it's time to torque those down. Those are tightened up. I got the angle. All you gotta do is make sure that when you're at a full turn, that the handlebar reservoir doesn't hit this. This is as far up as I can go. So I got a longer reach, and I kind of like that. And if you look at the angle of the bar compared to the fork, it's about on the same plane. And that's what I was kind of shooting for. So plugging in the 3 wires that hold on that, 2 screws, this little horseshoe. The horseshoe goes on first, and then you kind of fit it over, do the wires, put the horseshoe on, do the screws up. Get these all adjusted the way you like it, and make sure that the reservoirs don't hit the windshield when you get a full turn. And it's complete, and I think it looks good. Let's take a look from another angle. So you can see that the plane of the shaft on the Apes is, pretty much in line with the forks. And that's what I was kind of looking for, because I think if it's too far off one way or the other, it kind of looks silly. And from the front, the 12 inchers, yeah, my hands are in the wind, but I'm really a fair weather rider, so it doesn't matter. I was able to adjust the mirror so I can see behind me. So in my opinion, the 12 inches are the right height. I know there's a lot of controversy. Should have gone 14, should have gone 20, but I think they look really good. Dominator plug and play 12-inch meat hooks. They're 1 1/4 bar, not the 1 1/2s. And they fit on perfectly and lots of room. All the cables, clutch line, brake line, no problem. Turn to turn, much more comfortable for me. My hands are, flat and not hooked in like a wheelbarrow. And I gotta tell you, it's just sitting there. I'm looking forward to the test drive. Plugged everything in, everything worked. It was perfect. So there you have it. Dominator 12-inch plug and play Meathook Apes on a 2019 CVO RoadGlide. The whole project took about 4 hours if you take out camera time. It was easy. There was no stress. Just take your time, because if I can do it, you can do it too. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Hey, I'm back with a little bonus. So the bonus today is that these handlebars took so little time and were so easy to put on that I actually had time today to install a Customs Dynamics curved CVO plate. Now, this thing that comes on CVOs, I'm gonna show it to you. Oh my God, it's horrible looking. It's another pig nose. In Canada, it's bad enough we have to have this taillight. But to add that second pig nose with an ugly plate is another thing. I'll just tell you, on a Canadian plate, that looks pretty good, but there's a little field work that needs to be done. First of all, the holes don't line up. Secondly, our plates in Canada are just slightly, they're just a little bit taller than the frame is compared to an American plate. And so a little trimming has to happen. Plus, you have to notch the plate because of the wire. The lighting is an LED light that rides underneath here. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done with very little, you need a pair of shears and a Torx 27 and a 7/16 inch socket. This is an easy fix. Like the instructions are very clear. There's no problem. You take that thing off, put that thing on, mount it all together, drill a few holes into the Canadian plate. In the States, no problem, but in Canada, you got to do some mods. Again, it's a custom Dynamics part. It's two pieces you have to buy. You have to buy the mount and you have to buy the plate frame, the lit plate frame. They combine together, they go together simple. It plugs right into the Harley wiring harness for the lighting, and it works like a charm. And that's what it looks like lit up with an LED light. And I'm sure the LED lights are flashing on camera, but they're not when you look at them. And unfortunately in Canada, we have to have this thing, which ruins the back fender, but it's the rules. But anyway, I think it looks way better than that Harley pig nose. So let me show you how it's done. I just got a quick little video on how you might do this yourself. So it's a Custom Dynamics CVO plate mount and LED plate frame. They come in black, they come in chrome. I've chosen the black. Here are the steps. This is your rear fender, and inside on the back of your rear fender, and you can reach this up with your hand with a small 1/4 inch drive and a short 17th inch socket. What you're after is that nut right there. So you're going to loosen that nut but not remove it. Just loosen it enough so you can swing this cover aside. And that cover is what protects the wiring for the license plate light. Once it's aside, you can just disconnect it and move on to the next step. Come back around the back of the bike and remove these two T27 screws. Hang on to those because you're going to need them to install the new bracket and mount. And so remove this and you can use it for something like I'm going to use it to mount in my toolbox to hang a whiteboard off of, because it'll look good there, but it looks terrible on the back of the CVO. Now these are the parts that you buy from Custom Dynamics. CD CVO mount B if you want black, and I think it's C for chrome. And LPF RAD CVO B again for black, and C if it was chrome. So it's the mount and the frame, and it comes with the hardware, even the Allen key, and everything is going to go together with the parts you see here, plus your license plate. The first step is to modify your plate as required. It needs to be curved a little bit by hand. I over-curved mine a little so I could push it down on the sides, but you'll figure it out. It isn't rocket surgery. And you'll also have to notch the plate to avoid the wire that's on the back side of the frame. Once you've got that done, you kind of feed this connector through the hole in the mount, and you see there's a channel where the wire will reside so it doesn't crimp when you put this thing all together. So in the layers, it'll be on the outside, obviously, the plate frame. Just behind that will be your plate, and all of that will be pressed up against the mount. And you carry that assembly over to your bike and install it with the provided gasket and use the T27 screws that came out of the original mount. When you put it all together, you mount it on, you shove the wire through, and then there's nothing to it other than connect the new lamp, swing that cover back over to protect those wires, and tighten the 7/16 nut, and the project is complete. And that's what it will look like. It's a simple, it doesn't take any more than a half an hour to do the whole job, and it totally transforms the rear of a CVO bike. And like I say, if I can do it, you can do it too. Have a great day.